Hi, it's Mark Osborne, UK born and bred, but lived in a variety of different places around the world in my 55 years. Currently living in New York for the last 7 years, lived in Seattle for 25 years, but the current theme through my entire life has been music. This is, depending on your pronunciation, Bon Iver or Bon Iver, which is the pseudonym for a gentleman named Justin Vernon who's from Wisconsin. But Bon Iver, he used the name Bon Iver, is actually the French word for good winter. So I have no idea what the connection is between him and a French winter. It's cultural, actually. If you interview or speak to a lot of English people, they grew up in an environment that's very musical. For a country that's 50 million plus people, it's spit out a huge amount of really respectable bands over the years. Probably some of the greatest bands ever in popular music have come from those damp islands. And it's because the British really embraced the culture of music. It's no accident that the British reintroduced into America the blues, which is an American music. Black American music, and the blues was something that was basically frowned upon during mainstream American culture in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And it wasn't until this British invasion took place where bands like the Stones, people like Jimmy Page, who were all huge blues fans, were able to basically recreate that sound and make it palatable for the American market. I've been playing guitar since I was 12 years old, but the problem is that when I was 12 years old, we couldn't afford a musical instrument, so I had to use a tennis racket.
The tennis racket must not have sounded very good.
It was better than it sounds. The guitar I play now sounds. So it wasn't until a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, that I had an opportunity. I was given a guitar, and I decided that I was going to make a conscious effort to play it. And it's very difficult. And one of the things, it's like everything else. I mean, any new skill that you try and do, whether it's skiing, snowboarding, playing an instrument, it's very, very difficult. It takes a long time, and I don't think people have an appreciation of the amount of energy and effort it takes for these people to play guitar well. It's not until you start doing it that you start to realize that it's a very, very difficult process. Generationally, it's a lot different today. When you grew up, in the 60s and 70s, you didn't have a lot of money, but we didn't have a lot of money. So I would save every cent that I made, allowance money, cutting grass, and I would basically save up money, go to the record store and buy an LP in vinyl. And you'd go home and you'd shut yourself in a room and you'd play it and play it and play it. It wasn't like flipping tracks like we do these days. And you sat and you read the liner notes whilst you were listening to the album. So you got this organic knowledge about the etymology of different bands. Oh yeah, that's the bass player that played for this band and he's now playing for that band. And so there was more, you felt you had more of a connection to the actual music because it was a very organic feeling. Live music generally is a very raw, I'm always in awe, and I can't maybe encapsulate this into one sentence, but I'm in awe when I see people who are prepared to go up and basically put it out there. So now Evan Watson is, to me, epitomizes what live music should be about. He doesn't care how many people are in the audience. We had Navaganti play, which is another local band in New York. Navaganti played, I think there were 7 or 8 of us in the audience, and I bet they put as much energy into that performance than they would have if the room had been full of 200 or 300 people. And I think that maybe live music is something. It's an expression of the ability to be able to communicate what it is you're doing, regardless of who's listening.